Iman, welcome to the Because I Love You podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So glad you're here.
Thank you.
This has been like my Super Bowl, meeting everybody that I love online, mutuals and everything in the flesh in person. This is crazy for me. I feel
Really?
Like I do feel like I know you guys a lot.
I feel like I know you too. We've never met before, but I feel like I know you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But there's just, I don't know. You inspire me. I was just talking about this off camera, but I mean, me being pregnant and like just sedentary AF now, I feel like you live the it girl life. You live the ultimate it girl life.
It's so funny like to be perceived that way, I feel like.
You don't think so?
It doesn't feel that way.
Really? I think you're just so used to being cool.
Oh.
She's like, no.
Retract that. But yes.
No, you're just like naturally so cool and fun. And you have like these little side quests that you do that just like, it's natural for you. I love it.
Thank you.
But I want to learn more about you because this is our first time actually meeting.
Yeah.
So where are you from? How'd you end up in LA?
From LA, grew up in Sherman Oaks.
Oh.
So I've just never left.
I've never met anyone who's actually from LA.
Really?
I mean, well, I've met people like in the area,
yeah.
but I feel like this is rare.
Yeah, from LA, grew up here, like never had an interest in leaving ever.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, I discovered you from Peyton.
Yeah.
So how did you meet Peyton?
So me and Peyton met at Hyde, the nightclub here in LA.
Okay. Yes.
And
sounds about right.
You know when you meet a girl drunk in the bathroom and you're like, oh my God, we're going to be best friends.
Yeah.
We did that, but then we like kind of still were best friends. And it was so random. And she had a blog at the time. And I would like read her blog and screenshot my favorite ones of hers and send it to her while she still went to A&M. And then she ended up moving to LA for an internship. I think she was at like For Love and Lemons. And then we just never stopped hanging out. It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Because like we both are not people who like make quick friends that easily.
Yeah. No, it was just like in the stars for you guys to be besties.
And now we have a podcast together and like everything's super fun.
Which I love. Three-way.
Yeah.
So it's you, Peyton, remind me.
And our friend Kristen.
Kristen. Okay.
Yeah.
And so Kristen, is she LA based as well?
She lives here. She's from Tulsa and she's a stylist.
Okay. And for those that don't know, what is Three-way? Like, what's the vibe on that podcast?
Okay. So we're just three best friends and we talk about life, romance, some more R-rated things. Just like imagine you're at dinner with like a group of girls who are best friends and everyone's just like chatting, but you're kind of eavesdropping, which is my favorite thing. Like when I go to the nail shop, my dream scenario is that I'm sitting next to two girls who are like preferably in college, who are like spilling all the tea from like the frats over the weekend and stuff. And then I get to overhear it. And I feel like that's a little bit of what we do.
Yeah, I get that vibe. It reminds me of like when I was in college and I had roommates and like the next morning we would like do our debriefs.
Yes.
Like that's the energy. If you like that girls content, like you guys will love that one. And I'm going to link it in the show notes and everything. But love the vibes over there. They're very good. Girl content for sure. But you've done so many cool things. And I know we'll touch on this one briefly. But the game, We're Not Really Strangers.
Yeah.
That came from you.
So like one of my best friends at the time, so I worked on it since I was like 19. I'm 28 now. And it was her idea. It's like her game. And before it ever came out, she, was always just writing questions for it. And then we had like a PDF of questions that we just go to random cafes and like ask people if they wanted to play this game off our phones. And it was at first really hard to explain what it was because there was nothing like it at the time.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was her like initial idea and she was like creating this game and then I was like her friend at the time and got to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And then over the course of like, 7 or 8 years, we got to work together on this thing that was like so fun. Like, and a lot of the later games, I played like a bigger role in and started writing questions. At first I was like mostly operations. And yeah, it was like the most fun times ever.
How cool. And so a lot of that game, like I love it because it's obviously centered around like human connection and going deeper, which I'm really excited to hear like your take. What was the intention behind the game? Was it more human connection and just deepening relationships?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it really is like fun to go through the questions in there because I'm like, I always have trouble getting to those points. I'm not a deep person.
Okay.
Like off the jump, it takes some chipping away.
Yeah.
But what a cool concept to kind of help people break that down.
Yeah. And they're like specifically engineered to not be like alarming to like set off your alarm system in your brain of like, oh, I'm getting really deep. They're made so that the questions when they come out sound just like, hey, what's this about?
Yeah.
But when you answer it, you like don't even realize that you're saying so much about yourself. And I feel like that's what makes a really good question, is that it doesn't put anyone on the defense. Same things like if you're talking to your partner or whatever and you come right out of the gate and you're like, hey, I didn't like when you did this or that and you always do this. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But if you like come to them and you're like, hey, it kind of hurt my feelings when you did this. I know you didn't mean to, but like, let's talk about that. It's like, okay, cool. So it's that version of like that for a game.
Yes. It's like the gentle way of like learning people, which I love that so much. When you were involved with that game, was that something you thought you would be a part of, or was it kind of just like a fun side quest? Like, what would you say?
Literally no clue. I graduated high school. I was studying American Sign Language because I wanted to work in something like that I didn't know. And then I dropped out of college, started modeling, partying on the weekends, had no clue what my life would have in store. And then I've just always loved I feel like I've always loved being a support system for my friends. So when I saw a friend that had this thing that was like so grand and she didn't know like how to, she's just the most creative person in the world. And so, Oprah, I always say Oprah could have emailed her and she would never know. So I was just helping out. And for the first couple of years, like completely free, I was nannying on the side and just like helping out. And then that's kind of just what my life turned into.
Wow.
I never really wanted to work. I wanted to be married when I was 21 and like start having kids. And I was like, ugh, like,
really?
Work, no, jobs, no, which is so funny where I am now. But yeah.
I would never guess that about you.
Really?
At all. Like, I would think it's the complete opposite, actually. Because you give off that, like, I'm doing my own thing. And I guess, well, like, I know Peyton.
Yeah.
Through the lens of, like, she's that independent woman.
Yeah.
She's like, I'll take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Like, so I guess the assumption was like, y'all are probably the same. Do you still feel that way? Do you think like that's something you want soon in the future, or have you kind of backed off of that idea?
I think like, yeah, if you would have asked me when I was 21 when I wanted to have a kid, I'd say tomorrow, please marry me. Like, I'm very interested.
Really?
I just was like I just didn't want to think about what my life would be really.
Yeah.
And if you ask me now, the older I get, the longer I feel like I can wait for those things, which is like kind of interesting, I guess.
No, it's funny you say that though, because that's something I've recently been talking about with like my community is like pump the brakes. Yeah. Because I went to school in Arkansas. So it was very normal to see the 21-year-old engagements.
Yeah.
And the having 3 babies before 25 vibe, which at the time seemed appealing because it was like actually more common than like what I was doing, where I was like super single. Like if I went to school out here, I would have been the norm. But out there, I was like, something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
So it really is a thing that those girls are like getting divorced.
Yeah.
And they're my age. Like we're just getting started, right? So I think it's interesting that you say like, as you've gotten older, you've kind of been like pulling back. Why do you think that is, like as you get older?
I think especially because I was more like modeling in my early 20s. I was dating as like a means of survival.
Okay.
So like I'm trying to date someone who like wants to take care of me and do all these things because I was not like necessarily aspiring for anything at the time. I didn't really want a career. I just like couldn't see past what all my friends were models. That's like kind of just what I was seeing around. It's like, I'm trying to like attract the person with the most money and figure it out. Then, as I got older, I realized, I could like do these things for myself. I guess I will. And it kind of happened on accident. And it was just super random. But yeah, I think like not dating out of like a survival mode. I also felt like, okay, I don't come from money. Like, how am I going to live my life? And that's what felt like the easiest answer. And then through like obviously being single, I was kind of forced like, okay, well, if I want to live some sort of life right now, I guess I have to go do these things. And now I'm so independent, so like such a hard worker. It's hard to believe that I ever felt that way, and thank God I did not get married and have kids.
No, truly, like divine intervention.
God.
Like came in and was like, we're gonna show you who you are.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, I've had a touch of that too, like, because I was blinded by like the Arkansas Bible Belt like mentality, and really thought like I gotta find like a man to do these things.
Right.
If you would have told me I was gonna be an entrepreneur and anything, I would have been like, that's a joke.
No, same.
Yeah,
Same.
I would have literally laughed in your face because like I had no drive like in high school. I was just mediocre at best. I was just getting by.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I wanted to do in the future. I didn't know like where I wanted to take anything. I was just like, I'll end up married with kids.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I wasn't rushing or anything. I was just like, I don't know how this is going to work out. So like to be here, and if I were to look back at like my 17-year-old self, I'd be like completely shocked.
Yeah.
If they were like, oh no, you're going to have your own business, like S-Corp girly, like all that.
Yeah.
I would have, that's crazy.
I know.
Yeah. So growing up, you said you didn't really know what you wanted to do. You've kind of just been figuring it out as you go.
Yeah. And I honestly feel like a lot of that helps with creating something that's out of the box, because I feel like when you don't necessarily, like we kind of touched on this, like have a blueprint, you don't think of all the steps that you have to go through to get somewhere for success. And I feel like those things also put you in a box. So like when I was at We're Not Really Strangers, and me and Kareen had no clue what we were doing. We're talking to like this Chinese manufacturer, and there's a huge language barrier, and then the games are getting here, and then we're like, okay, how do we ship that? There are so many parts of like the marketing that set it apart, where if we actually knew what we were doing, we might have gone a super traditional route with like how to execute it. Whereas I feel like when you don't actually know what you're doing and you're just figuring it out, you end up doing things that have never been done before.
Yes.
So I feel like any brand that's innovative is obviously doing things that's never been done before, but that's really hard to do when you know like all the exact steps to get there and how you should be doing it. That actually, in my opinion, makes it harder. I've always worked in, I guess for the last 10 years, I've worked in social media and marketing and all the things. And a lot of times like people would ask like, oh, what brands do you can compare yourself to, or like where do you get your inspo from? And whenever I'm working for a brand, which I have consulted for a bunch now, I never look at the competitors. I never look at like brands, because that's like showing me, oh, they're doing this, maybe I could then go do, and that already in a box.
Yes.
Already, like if you have an activewear brand, a million people have activewear brands, and then you're researching like, okay, how do I market my and you're looking at a bunch of different, you're now in the realm of like all the marketing that's already been done.
You just made yourself a competitor.
Yeah. So it's like, in order to do something that's never been done before, you kind of have to just like, how would I most, and sometimes it's so wacky.
Yeah.
Like, how would I most naturally do this?
Yeah.
And what would that look like? And how do I get there? And I feel like that thought process has like made me a lot more successful than, okay, let me research and then like do a Pinterest board. All that stuff is really helpful, but you're just looking at things that have already been done.
Yes. And I can really appreciate that, because I find myself going in this loop of like having a new creative idea. Like, for example, I definitely want to rebrand my podcast at some point, and I'll go on Pinterest and I'm like pinning things, and then I find myself pinning like literally nothing original or innovative. And then I'm like, I need to pull it from within and figure out how to get there.
Yeah.
But I think that requires a level of like putting on blinders and stripping yourself away from what's cool and what's popular. And the blueprint, as you said, like don't have one, just make one.
It's so hard though. And it's much easier said than done. But I would say like I get my inspo from other like things. So for example, like if I'm writing about a breakup, I wrote like this little like PDF, like how to get over a guy in 10 days. That was like kind of inspired by How to Lose a Guy in 10 the movie. But I realized that there were a lot of correlations between like addiction withdrawals and like breakups. So I studied like Alcoholics Anonymous books and thought about like how to deal with like an actual addiction, and then applied that to things that I would say about breakups and just like turned it to a different lens. So like that would be my inspo, but it's not necessarily like a direct things I've heard before.
Yes.
But it's very similar. So I do that kind of stuff a lot.
Yeah. So I feel like your brain kind of works where you're able to see parallels in things that people don't conventionally see them. Would you say that?
Yeah. Yeah. And then you're just using that as inspiration for, you know, whatever you're making.
Yeah. So what would you say? Like we have a lot of younger girls who I feel like they think, based off of like the DMs that I get, that they have to have this solid plan on life. And I think you're a really great example of moving with intention, but also not having like a solid contract on what you have to be doing.
Yeah.
So what would you say to girls who are feeling like really insecure about not having like that blueprint on life?
I would say that kind of gives you an edge because sure, like the person who's always wanted to be a lawyer since they were 5 is a lawyer and like that's what they are and that's amazing and like something to be so proud of. Not like that is just a different like lane that you can go with life. But I also feel like when you don't know exactly what you want to do, it just means you haven't really like discovered exactly what you're passionate about yet, which is so okay and like will come with time. So it's not anything to like try to uncover right away. I would say for me, I think of things in like figure out what your like unique value is to like the world. So when you walk into a room, okay, maybe I'm like, for me personally, I'm not the smartest person in a room. I don't like, there's a lot of like rooms that I walk in where I'm like, okay, I'm definitely not the smartest person in this room. But maybe, you know, you're the most reliable person in the room. Maybe you show up at work every single day and you're gonna like beat out your competition with consistency. I'm also not that person, but maybe you are. Or maybe, you know, you don't have a huge friends group and so that allows you to be able to travel for work a lot. So like you could take a job that a lot of people might not be able to. Like, hey, I don't have like a strong hold with family and friends in this one city. Maybe I'll apply to a job that, you know, I can travel a bunch and like create a life in a bunch of different cities. So I just think about what your unique value is and then like bridge it out from there.
I think it takes a lot of like internal work and building honestly just like confidence and trust with yourself.
Yeah.
That was like a big part of my 20s, especially like when I first became an entrepreneur. I really had to, because like I said, I had like no drive before that.
Yeah.
And it really, looking back on that, I was like, I feel like I was in that mode of having like no trust in myself and like no motivation because I hadn't like had a fire under my ass to do it.
Same.
And yeah, like essentially for me, the turning point was when I quit my 9-to-5 job and I was like, oh, I have literally no safety net right now. I got to figure this out. Like I got to learn how to make money. And then I don't know how. It's just like I put one foot in front of the other until things started working out.
Yeah.
And became like a hustler. Never thought that would be in my vocabulary. I was like, the hustle mentality is just like not for me. But in a way, like I used it to get somewhere grounded before. But it's just like it took me building trust with myself. And honestly, that just meant showing up. Yeah. Like clocking in with myself and not being like, oh, like I'm going to procrastinate and, you know, create an excuse today or stay in bed, which I've definitely done, but it was really hard. Like I had to fully be honest with myself. I'm like, am I really trying right now?
Yeah.
You know, it's hard. But would you say there was like a turning point for you where you're like, I can do this for I know you mentioned you were like, you went from the mindset of I need a man to do this to I'm going to do this. Was there a turning point for you with that?
If there was, I like didn't even realize it, I think. Like I think at first when I was like, okay, what's my unique value? I was like, okay, I feel like I'm a really good friend. What does that mean? For me, that translated into I work really well with founders that are like super creative and being like, they're kind of like right hand. So I feel like now when I am a consultant, I work with startups directly with like a founder who has this big vision. I just want to help them. Like I'm just like there for you, whatever. I know what you're thinking before you know what you're thinking. Like that's my, like it went from like, okay, I'm a good friend. What does that mean? To then like, okay, I would be good in this kind of role. And I think just like over time on accident became someone who like works and does stuff.
Yeah.
And I would say my job right now is like a little bit more, I work at like at a tech startup. So it's a little bit more like linear and straightforward. But then I feel like my podcast still gives me that creativeness.
So you still get to fill your cup in like different ways.
Yeah, it is, I will say, a lot harder to market yourself than a brand. And like that's a real learning curve for me that I'm having right now.
I'm still having struggling. That problem. So if you figured that out, are you saying like for the podcast element?
Yeah, like I'm great. Like if I had to market someone else's podcast, oh my God, this is what we're gonna do. When I personally have to do it, it's so hard. I find myself so easily embarrassed. Like every day I wake up, I'm like,
really?
I have a podcast that's like my whole life is on there and I can never take that. Like I'm constantly spiraling about like, and then what if it doesn't do well? Then all my friends know that I have a podcast. I've already posted it on Instagram. Everyone's going to know that I failed. Like there's always that
you're
kind
like
of thing.
saying my inner monologue right now. I feel you.
Every day. But when you're doing it for a brand, it just feels so much easier. So I feel like I'm at the beginning of like a new phase of like, I'm so confident in this one area and then now I feel like I'm a beginner in a new area and it's super scary.
Oh my gosh. Like I fully understand it. And I wish I could say like, because I've been doing this since like 2017. I wish I could say that that's gone away, and it has. Like it's so much better because I used to be like heavily embarrassed by everything. Like especially when you're still at the point where like you don't have anything to show for it, but like everyone has to start there.
Yes,
everyone
and that's like the worst
has
part.
To start from zero. All your favorite like podcasters, creators started the same, and I had to literally go through that. And sometimes your fears are true. Like back in my hometown, they talking shit. It's fine. But also like I have so much to show for now. And I knew that there was going to be that point of like dealing with that, but those aren't my people. And I really had to go through this acceptance period of like, if I'm going to be like a joke to someone, those are not my friends. Those are not my people. I'm doing something that makes me happy. And it also made me like really appreciate anyone who's kind of going after it. Like doesn't matter what they're doing. I'm like, if you're happy and you're loving it, like people sense that. That's what's going to make you successful. And literally, like, I will find the most niche creators. Like, one guy who has, like, birds and a bird feeder. But it's just, like, the best vibe ever because, like, he's obsessed. And I'm like, I'm into it because you're into it. Like, this isn't my thing, but this is so cool to see you light up from it. And it's just old cute guy. But, yeah, it's just, like, you really have to, like, put on the blinders and remember, like, you're doing it because you love it. Anyone who's a hater like that is honestly weird.
What's like the worst criticism that you feel like you've faced, not necessarily from like the like people that you don't know, but like people like you're saying from your hometown or like anything like that? Like what's been the hardest experience with that you've had?
Specifically from like hometown people, you would say?
Yeah, or whatever comes to mind.
I think honestly, like I think the worst thing is hearing that like someone you know isn't like rooting for you.
Yeah.
And knowing that like you're doing something that is filling your cup. Like I don't care if I was like opening a coffee shop. Like whatever it is, I think it's hurtful when you know someone and like especially if they're a friend. Like if they're not friends, I'm like whatever, kick rocks. But if it was a friend or family member even, like to find out that they're like low-key ops it's really disheartening.
Yeah.
And I think there were like a lot of instances for me where it was like the people closest to me where I was like, really? Like, I'm kind of hurt.
Yeah.
You know, because like I can take it from a stranger on the internet. I have no connection to like those people. They'll say crazy shit, but it's kind of just like, okay, that's weird. That can roll off me a lot easier, but like having a relationship with someone and then having to be like, damn, like that's what you think about me.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. Have you had anything that's been making you feel like afraid yet? Or is this just something that's like in the back of your mind?
It's just internal. I've just always felt that way.
Yeah.
Really.
And honestly, like you'll power through it. Like you have no choice just to like go through it. Have you like talked to Peyton about it? I wonder what
Peyton does not give a
like I wish I could have the Peyton mindset.
So many people claim to not care about things and they deeply care. This is someone who claims to not care and sleeps so peacefully at night. She doesn't care.
She's like the most calming presence. I mean, there's just something so grounding about her. Yeah. Like that makes me snap out of like, I love when she does her Q&As because like she's such a direct like girl's girl where it's just like, this is what it is. Like, and she stands on business with it. I'm like, I want that in my life. I don't know why. I'm like in the corner shaking in my boots.
It is inspiring. The other day we were recording and she says like, I think maybe she was being like very monotone that day or like maybe just like not really in the mood. And she was like, I have nothing to give other than to just be the most me I could be at any moment. And that's just like all I can. She just doesn't care. So yeah. So
deep yet like probably not in the mood, but still so eloquent. Yeah, I'm excited for you. Like, I like seeing this other creative avenue with three-way for you. Keep me posted on how you market yourself, because
I know.
I'm gonna need you to teach me. I'm gonna have to hit you up.
It's tough.
So you're saying you have a better experience with marketing like brands, and or is it like people you are having that disconnect with, or just yourself?
Like, this is gonna sound so bad. I guess also for work and stuff too, but like I don't post clips of myself on my own personal Instagram, or like I don't know how to like incorporate the fact that I have this thing with my, like, it hasn't merged yet.
I see.
Like, there are a bunch of people that I know that don't know that I have a podcast yet. Like, I haven't figured out how to, like, I'm just like, this is so embarrassing. Like, I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like having a podcast means that you inherently think that what you have to say like really means, you know what I mean? Like, means something. And then that part of it is like, do I feel like I'm bringing value? Am I bringing enough value? Am I saying enough things? Like, obviously I listen to other podcasts and like think they're amazing and they're so great. Oh my God, this person has so much to say, but thinking that you yourself has something to say and then like clipping it and then posting that on social media and be like, look what I said. Like, the whole part of it is just tough for me. So I'm figuring it out.
And I totally empathize with what you're saying, because, and it's crazy putting on the personal page.
Yeah.
Because like I said, those are the deepest cuts.
Yeah.
Like, don't jump into it if you're not ready for it, because like you might find out like the low-key ops. The way I look at it is I'm like grateful for it.
Yeah.
Because like I want to clear out that space and have people who are just like there for Bria in whatever phase of life that I'm in. It might be tough to accept, but like rip the Band-Aid off, girl. Like it's definitely worth it. And also like just how you were like, I love listening to podcasts. Like, I promise you, everyone else is perceiving you that way. You're in your head about it. For sure.
I know I'm in my head.
No, it's anytime I've like listened to Three-Way, I'm like, this is such good vibes. Like, if I was still, especially if I was still like in a 9-to-5, that would be like my jam.
Really?
Like, I always needed to have something in my ears when I was working at a corporate space. Oh my gosh, yes. Like, people are gonna love that, but you're holding yourself back because you're like, I don't know, what are they gonna say?
I know, I kind of do the 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But also, I know that I'll warm up to it over time. I just have a hard time, I don't know, with like, maybe it's attention. I don't know what it is.
Do you think it's like, because I struggle with this even to this day. Do you think it's like kind of promoting yourself? Like, yeah, I feel weird about that to this day. And I really have to look at like people I admire to make myself feel better about that sometimes. Like, not to go back to Peyton. This is the Peyton show now.
No, literally.
But she literally doesn't care. And she's able to just like post, and you can tell that she doesn't have like these anxieties. Like, she's consistent, and she's built this cool brand from it now. And I'm always like, you just need to stop overthinking it. And I'm always like, nobody's gonna care about this. Like, I'm having a whole child and I've downplayed it so much. Like, I know I should be doing more around it, but I'm like, nobody cares if I have like acid reflux. But it's like, it's the experience. Like, and people actually do care. And I'm the one that's like in my head. Seriously, every time I post something about like my journey, it's like flooding, like, oh my God, this happened to me when I was pregnant, or they're giving me like support and love. Like, it's always good.
Yeah.
It's always good vibes.
I will say, like, being like too cool also gets you nowhere. Like, the people who just like are consistent and don't care are the people who figure it out.
Right. Like, being cringy will get you very far.
So far. Oh my God. It's like, why can't I just lay in my bed and like be so mysterious and everyone's just knocking on my door? So annoying.
No, it's true. Like, and I have to remind myself of it. So I'm glad we're talking about it, because I'm even in the phase where I have to remind myself of it, because I ebb and flow with it. Like, I'm not a consistent, like, I'm that bitch kind of girl at all. Like, I have my phases where I'm like, definitely that bitch. Like, right before I got pregnant, ooh, I was that bitch. Am I that bitch right now? No.
Really?
I'm like burping off mic. Like, I don't feel like it. And it's really hard to like project who I think I should be right now. I don't feel like her right now. So it's taken a lot more like pep talks in the brain lately.
Really?
It is.
I guess what I'm trying to ask is like, do you feel like pregnancy like is taking away from like how you want to be viewed? Like, what parts of it do you feel like makes you not that, what you're talking about?
I think like, because I literally cannot be the full potential I know I can be, because I'm like so physically exhausted all the time. Like, I want to do so much more work. I want to be able to travel more and like go see, do this. Like I love this stuff, but also it's like hard to travel right now. It's hard to actually like do what I'm used to doing. Like I was doing solid core like every day before I got pregnant.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And now I can't even walk like to the kitchen without being like Amaya, our producer, we went and got tacos yesterday.
Yeah.
And I actually was like, hey, I might have to sit at this bus stop for a second. It was like a 3-minute walk, if that, 5 minutes up the street. I just don't feel like myself. So it's kind of like I'm grieving something right now, but I'm like also telling myself I'll be okay. It's going to come back, or at least I'm hoping it will. But it's been quite a shock. I guess I wish I had prepared.
Yeah.
To feel like this and know like, oh, like, you know, they say pregnancy is going to change you, but like, whoa.
Is that something that you like talk about and share?
Not as much as I probably should.
Yeah.
I've talked about like my first trimester was hell. I was like puking 3 times a day. So much I lost my voice from the acid.
Really?
So I couldn't even do my podcast. So then I like really went into a depression and I was like, okay, I'm actually sad right now because now I can't do something I love, you know? And then I'm like guilty because I'm like, I'm a bad mom for wanting to do my podcast.
I just feel like you should like talk about that more, like managing expectations during your pregnancy, because it sounds like you are trying to like operate as whoever you were before you were pregnant in the same space. And every day that you don't do it, you're then disappointed like with yourself for not being able to do it, rather than saying like, I can maybe do one thing today. Like, what's my maybe one thing gonna be?
Yeah, I know. I really need to like, I think I need to give more kudos for like what I am doing, because I'm still doing a lot. It's just like in my brain, it's not as much as I want it to be.
What do you think is the biggest difference from how you thought like pregnancy would be versus how it actually is?
I thought I would still have much more of like my normal routine and what I love and like. I thought like I had time, like once the baby got here, then I would have to put those things on the shelf.
Yeah.
But actually, it was like immediate for me. It was like, you're really going to have to, I was in survival mode for like 12 weeks straight. So it kind of took away from anything I wanted, like even seeing friends, like leaving the house, like nothing, because I had no capacity for it. And then it's like also dealing with people not understanding that, like friends and family being like, oh, you just cut us all off when you got pregnant. I'm like,
oh my gosh, I can't believe people are saying that to you.
People are not as understanding as I thought they would be sometimes.
That is very interesting.
Yeah. And I will say, like, to their point, for like 12 weeks, I was pretty MIA.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And I
like,
tried to be transparent
obviously,
about it. Yeah. But I don't know. There's still expectations for pregnant people. And I think it's because there's lack of empathy there.
Yeah.
If you haven't gone through it, like you don't get it. So you have to kind of deal with that. But do you still kind of want kids? How do you see that in your future now?
I definitely want kids. I have a boyfriend now. I feel like we're doing like all the things. I mean, I'm still very serious about like wanting those things in the future. So I like date very intentionally, want to make sure I'm on the same page with someone. But I think the difference before was like the things that I was willing to compromise on. So like every relationship, I get much closer to someone that I'd actually want to be with and realize what I can actually compromise on. So for example, you know, maybe my first relationship was like, I'm really just focused on maybe someone who can provide for me. They don't necessarily have to be super funny. Maybe we can just live well together, but maybe not super in love.
Right.
Whereas now, I think just like what I'm looking for in a partner has changed. And I feel like every time I date, I get a little closer. And this is definitely what feels like the closest that I've been to someone that I feel like, okay, this is like my person.
Yes. I love that for you.
So yeah, I definitely want those things, but
yeah,
I can wait. Like, I'm not like, let's do it. I mean, one of my favorite like party tricks, like if I'm dating someone and my first time sleeping with them, I always be like, should we just like have a baby tonight? And usually how they respond is like gives me my checker for like if they get my sense of humor, things like that. Like I kind of just throw things at them. Like my joke right now. she's got jokes. My bit right now is like my boyfriend of 4 months, we're going to Joshua Tree in 3 weeks. And my bit is that like he's going to propose to me when we're in Joshua Tree.
And we're like, is he checking that it's a bit?
He knows that it's a bit. But like every time we like talk about it, I'll be like, so like if you have something that you wanted to ask me, probably don't do it like on this day because we're going to be doing this. And like I think that stuff's really funny.
Yes.
Maybe not. I'm not for everyone.
It is. And you need someone who can match that energy for sure.
Yeah.
So I was asking because also another thing that my community likes to ask about is dating. And I'm always like, I don't know. Like I'm washed out of that competition now. But what would you say in terms of intentional dating? Like how are we meeting people these days? Are the apps still apping?
Here's what I always tell everyone. I feel like in order to attract people, you have to like tell the universe that you're interested in dating. So for me, sometimes I'm signing up for the apps and I'm going through the motions of the apps. And usually when I'm doing that, I'm meeting the most people in real life also because I'm like saying yes to everything. So if I'm like, yes, I want a boyfriend. Yes, I want to date. But actually, no, I'm not going to download any dating apps and I don't want to go out tonight. That's like, I feel like the universe is not like opening up to all the possibilities because I'm so closed off energetically to like these things. Like, what can I curse on here?
Yeah.
Okay. It's like, who the fuck cares if you don't want to, the person I'm dating is on a date. How do you know? I hate when people say that because like, sure, I would say 98% of the people I'm swiping through are not who I'm looking for. Yeah. But it's like the work that you're putting in and the like, the energy that you're giving off to the universe that I'm ready to date. So I don't know. I'm open to every avenue when I'm dating. I'm on every dating app. Maybe I'm barely checking it. Maybe I'm like, just scrolled through 50 people, didn't like any of them. Cool. I'm like on to my next thing. But I'm saying yes to going out. I'm saying yes to all the things and not like being closed off. My boyfriend, I've probably gone on like 40 first dates on Hinge. My boyfriend that I have right now, we did meet on Hinge. He was on there for like maybe 2 days. Like he was not like he was not a dating app person. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like I was just open.
Yes. Open to receiving.
Yeah.
Like we talk about that a lot on my channel because we're big like manifestation girlies.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to hear you say that because I have a video where it's literally like I manifested my husband.
Yeah.
Because I absolutely did. Like I wrote down a list of like what my dream guy would be. And then after I wrote it down, I was just like, okay, cool. Like, and really the list was like, okay, 1, to tell the universe what I wanted, but 2, to like help me be intentional so that if I went on a date and it was just like so far off, then I'd be like, okay, these aren't the things that I'm wanting in a long-term partner. So it's kind of a guide, like a map for me, but it wasn't like he needed to have every box. It was very like loose. And then the most important part I feel like was having fun.
Yeah.
Like you can't be like looking over your shoulder like, is he here? Is he here? Because like I feel like desperation cancels out like attraction.
Yeah.
So it was in the moments where like I was having the most fun where like it happened so unexpectedly and it was like, oh, there he is. So much so to the point where I was like, no, not right now. I'm living my best life. But also that's great because when your cup is so full, then you're not desperate for just any Joe Schmo to come to the door and be like, I'll take it. You know, you're a little bit pickier. You're like, no, let's see if this works out. And when I met AJ, that's where I was, like full cup, to where I was like, I don't feel rushed.
Yeah.
He did. He asked me to be his girlfriend after 2 weeks. I was like,
oh my God, that's my dream. That's literally my dream.
And part of the problem was that I was used to like fuckboys.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, we're going to play this game for like, we'll do our 90-day trial.
Right.
Right. And then we'll be like, you know, what's happening here? We'll have a conversation then. We weren't even close to our 90-day trial. I was like, what are you doing right now? Are you well?
Hello?
And then I interpret that because I'm so toxic. I was like, you're weird. Like
you're possessive. You want to be your girlfriend already? You're so sure of me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what do you want from me?
Yeah.
And then from there, he's like kind of surprised me because he's like, oh, well, if that's not what you want, then like I'm dipping. And I'm like, wait a second. Like you don't get to dip. Like caught me off guard too. So then I could see like, oh, your cup is full too. You're actually just being intentional and like maybe I'm missing out on something right now. And
dude, how hot is that?
yeah, like whole husband right there. Like he was just like, I know what I want. And that's what he'll say to you. He's like, I knew what I wanted. I snatched it up. Like that's his like
period
line for that. So it is interesting, but I love manifestation.
Yeah. I feel like I was like a serial dater for like almost 6 years in a row. Like I was maybe 4 months in between my like 3 relationships. And then I was single for almost 2 years, which was like unheard of. I was like, I want to be single for a year after my last relationship. Like, I don't want to, you know, whatever. Then a year passed. I was like, yeah, I'll probably just like be able to get a boyfriend now. And then I was like, the longer I was single, the harder it was to go back to dating because I was like, I've been so happy and like this stuff isn't working on me anymore.
Yeah.
So I was single for a year. I'm like, yeah, I'll probably just get a boyfriend now. So I just start going on Hinge. And then I was like, wait, what? And then I was like a year and a half. And I was like,
yeah.
Oh, I might like not be getting married. Like this might not be what's in the cards for me. And then it was really close to the 2-year mark. And then I also don't know if like the person that he is now is someone that I would have like recognized as so great like earlier on in life.
Yeah. Like sometimes we're not in the phase of being ready for like what we deserve.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and also perhaps, like you said, you want to show up like you're ready to date, right? Perhaps we're not showing up as if we want this dream guy.
Yeah.
Like, you are what you attract. And that was a big thing for me too, is like, okay, well, if I want a partner who, for example, is like a good communicator, okay, then I need to start being that. Like, I need to start pushing myself to like speak up and say what I need in a relationship and like be better about that. So it really is interesting because like you got to make the connection.
How has your marriage changed, if at all, since being pregnant? Like what has changed?
I think, well, pregnancy in general has pushed me to speak up more for myself. And I also think like, again, I mean, I've known many pregnant people in my life, but being pregnant has like completely warped my world where now I'm like going back to all my pregnant friends like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So part of it is like I do have to be more vocal with AJ about like this season of life, what I can do. Like we just moved into a house and we usually have roles. Like I'm the planner, I'm the executor. Like I get things moving when it comes to like these transitional things in life. But I was like, you're going to have to do it. Like I'm really struggling right now. And like even packing a box was like exhausting for me. Like could only do literally one a day before it started to physically hurt. So I've had to be really just like upfront about my new needs right now because he's used to me being independent.
Yeah.
And he doesn't overstep that. I don't like help. I'm an eldest daughter. Like I have
same.
Yeah, I have a lot of issues asking for help, and this is forcing me to ask for help. Like even just small things.
Wait, I kind of love that.
Yeah, it's kind of nice in a way because even like small things like being at the airport and asking someone to help me like pull my suitcase off the conveyor so I don't hurt myself. I have to do those things. Ugh, and I hate it. I literally hate it, but it's just like it's teaching me a lot, and I honestly needed it. Like even in my business, I still don't ask for help as much as I should be, you know? So that's been helpful, but in our relationship, he's been so accommodating and like an angel.
Yeah.
An actual angel. Like my first trimester, he's whatever you want. Like every day was like, I don't know how we're going to get through today. Like I would literally like open my eyes and be like, oh, here we go. Because
another day. Yes.
I was so sick that like I would open my eyes and immediately get sick. And he's like, okay, like we got to eat, you know, what do you want today? And it would literally pain me to try to figure out like, how am I going to eat today?
Yeah.
But whatever it was I wanted, he would go get it. So it's like, he's just been so adaptable and there and present. And it's just this new dynamic, but he's so excited to be a dad. Like he's like, let's get it. Like, what do we need to do, you know? But also he just feels terrible for me at the same time. So he's like, he thinks his end of the stick is like nothing. And I feel like I'm being demanding because eldest daughter, you know?
Yeah.
But it's been good for the relationship, I feel like. I think it's like a special time, and it should bring you closer to like your partner, and big fucking red flag if it doesn't. Because like you're creating life. They should be like yes men at the minimum.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it's been pretty cool.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, it's wild. Okay, so you found your person. Now it's time to let the knot help you with everything else. The knot connects you to the wedding inspo, vendors, venues, and planning tools you need to make your day totally you. AJ and I are big fans of the knot. We used this when we got married, and it is such a great tool. From gathering inspo and scoring expert advice to finding your venue and figuring out your budget, they'll connect you to all the people, places, and tools you need. Plus, the knot makes it easy to keep your guests in the loop so you can focus on what really matters, which is celebrating your love with the people who mean the most. This may be the first time you're putting together something this big, this visible, and this meaningful, and the knot is taking the guesswork out of it for you. You get actionable inspiration and expert advice based on how they've helped over 25 million couples. You can plan anytime, anywhere with the wedding planning app with the most 5-star reviews. The Knot helps you provide the best guest experience for your family and friends, from collecting their address and easy RSVPing to providing seamless registry shopping, all in one place. The Knot has the most venues and vendors across any wedding website in any location. Let the Knot connect you to all of the people, places, and tools you need to help bring your wedding to life. Get started at thenot.com/audio. That's THEKNOT.com/AUDIO. I know that you are the queen of Would You Rather. I have some Would You Rathers for you.
Okay.
And
I wrote 2.
Okay, I don't know if mine are good. I might have asked ChatGPT to help me, but I feel like some of these are good.
So I write my best Would You Rathers when I know the person really well, because like I play off like things you don't like, things you're having a hard time with. So
yeah, you're deep like that.
I always have like a hard time, but here's what I have. Also, like I guess I'm also like don't necessarily know your sense of humor yet. So like I don't know if some of these are just like I'm bizarre.
I'm excited for whatever you have. I know it's gonna be good.
Okay. Do you want to go first or should I?
I feel like mine are going to be so shitty compared to yours. So wait, you do yours first so I see if I need to like accommodate.
Okay. These are just like things that I would say to my friends. Okay. Would you rather feel, now I feel bad saying this after what we just talked about. Would you rather feel your worst pregnancy symptoms for the next 7 years, or you have to name your son your most recent ex's name?
Oh my gosh.
Like first and last name, like their last name is the baby's middle name.
It's going to be the ex. It's going to be the exes. I hope AJ's not watching this. That was so good. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Oh man.
The next one, would you rather start walking with a limp and you like can't acknowledge it, and if someone brings it up you have to pretend like you don't know what they're talking about? Like why are you're like, I literally don't know what you're talking about, I'm not walking with a limp. Or you have to post a screenshot of all your bank accounts with all your spending, charges, and deposits as an in-feed post.
Wait, the limp is forever?
It's for... It's for on and off for 12 years. Wait, no, you know what? Years. On and off for 6 years.
Okay, thank you. I'll do the limp. I don't know. I feel like once you post...
What if I said 12 years? What would you choose?
The bank account, I think.
Really?
Yeah. You said off and on. So 6 years.
So I try to find the sweet spot, like where it's impossible to choose. Like I'm like, how many years to where it's like equal to the bank account?
Yeah, you're so good at that. Oh my God, mine are so shit compared to yours. Oh my gosh. Okay, give me a second. I need to figure out how I want to do this.
Let's see if I can make another one really quick.
You just come up with these?
Yeah.
I'm just not that gifted.
I also it's just a mix of like making games for a long time and then just like being stupid.
Yeah. I know, and it's hard because like I don't know like your pain points.
Yeah, that's what makes it kind of hard.
Yeah. So I'm like, which ones do I want to? Mine were all like safe. Like,
what are they?
Would you rather live without books or music? Like, you're just so good.
I think I might have
these.
Let me see if I have more in my phone.
Okay. Okay. I wanna do something. Oh wait. Okay, because this actually happened to me.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So every time you upload like a podcast clip,
Okay.
would you rather something you recorded that should have been cut out accidentally be kept in,
That's really good.
or if you were making like a YouTube video, accidentally upload yourself doing the thumbnail poses? I've done that.
You have?
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God. Okay.
I'll give you the story after you answer.
It depends on what was supposed to be cut that wasn't.
Yeah.
Because that's happened to me before.
Really?
Where I like forgot to tell, what's my own fault, I forgot to say this should be cut. And then I listened to it back and I was like,
and it was like fully published?
yes.
No.
So that actually happened to me maybe last episode.
Oh, no. We won't say the episode number.
It's like fine, but sometimes I just get so bored listening to the whole thing again, and it's already so cringe that I like just turn it off. And then I listen to the whole thing when this is already out in the whole. I like stopped maybe at there was 5 minutes left. I stopped listening.
Yeah.
And then I listened to all the way through once it was out. And the last full 5 minutes was like, so yeah. I think I would rather upload doing the thumbnails.
Yeah.
That was a good one though.
10. I seriously like don't get that embarrassed. That was embarrassing.
What poses were you doing?
Oh my God. No, I hate saying this. It was like, okay. And I was on my honeymoon when I found out.
No.
Yeah. It was like some terrible karma. But it was like a life update video. And you know how like the life update videos are like so literally the last the last full minute
No.
of the video was just me like, and it wasn't a sad video, it was clickbait, like it was just me like and so I didn't know, and it gets uploaded, and then I'm on my honeymoon, mind you. I was in Hawaii, so like I'm on a different time zone too, so like I slept through it getting posted. It was literally like the worst case scenario. Okay, so I wake up to these DMs like, hey girly, I don't think you meant to upload this, but there's like a minute-long clip of you just like posing in your last video. And I was like, huh? And of course it got so many clicks because it was like life update.
No.
Yeah.
So what's that feeling when that happens?
Oh, my stomach fell out of my butt. Like I was just mortified, and I was like angry at my editor. I'm like, bro, like you've never done this before, and you do this when I'm in Hawaii. Like, help me.
So how long does embarrassment that kind last? Like that strain?
Oh, like, well, it was a good thing I was in Hawaii because I was like, okay, I'm gonna go get drunk. Get over this. But it was pretty bad. Like, I mean, once I got it off the internet, I could breathe. But it was like I had to like go in and like have someone else do it because I also didn't have my computer on my honeymoon. Literally every obstacle that you can think of.
Can you please, like, how do I see it? Can I please see it?
Oh my God. I don't know where it is. The video is still up, but like I definitely like burned all evidence.
I want to see it so bad. Like I want to do a viewing of it.
My gosh. It was literally like somber B. Like
that's really funny. That's really good.
Yeah. So that was pretty terrible, but we recovered.
And we're here today.
I know. We're here. But yeah, I'm trying to think, do I have another would you rather that's just as good as that? I just pulled from my personal experience with that one.
That was a good one.
Yeah. I feel like that was good. I can't top that.
Okay.
But okay, where can everybody find you?
On Instagram, it's it's Emon Abdullah. 3-Way Pod, Instagram.
Yes.
TikTok, all the things. I've never done this before.
Plug.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll put everything in the show notes too. So you guys go follow Emon. She's the best. And we're going to get comfortable promoting ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about time.
Yeah, it's time. You deserve it. You're really great and everyone knows it. So just own it.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Own it, my girl. But thank you for being on here. I really appreciate it.
I had a freaking blast. I mean, I'm cozy in the chair. I'm freaking vibing. So
yeah, this was really fun. Well, we love you guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.